When you're standing in the middle of a living room that's suddenly bigger than the rest of the house, it's easy to wonder whether that 85-inch screen will actually improve your viewing experience or just become a pricey piece of walldecor. I've spent the last week setting up an 85-inch Sony BRAVIA Mini LED QLED on a family room that doubles as a gaming hub, a home theater, and a place for the kids to binge cartoons after school. The goal of this video is to help you decide if that kind of flexibility is a real win for you, or if the size and price end up feeling more like a gamble. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of hesitation most buyers feel with a TV of this magnitude. The biggest question is usually, will I actually notice the difference? In a world where 55-inch and 65-inch OLEDs have already become the baseline for premium picture quality, moving up to 85 inches can feel like overkill unless the room can accommodate it comfortably, and the content you watch can fill that space without looking stretched or pixelated. Another concern is the price-to-value ratio, especially with a renewed listing that promises a refurbished unit. Does the Mini LED backlight and QLED color gamut truly deliver a noticeable upgrade over a standard LED panel, or are we just paying for a bigger badge? The first thing I noticed after unpacking the TV was how easy the physical installation went. The stand is solid enough to sit on a sturdy media console, but I chose to mount it on a wall using a 4-way Visa bracket. The weight is definitely on the heavier side, so you'll need a few extra hands and a stud finder if you're not comfortable with a ceiling-mounted setup. Once it was up, the thin bezel made the picture feel like it's actually spilling out onto the wall, which is a pleasant surprise for a TV that size. The Google TV interface is built into the picture mode, not a separate box, so the remote feels uncluttered and the on-screen menu loads quickly. There are no extra layers of software that you have to navigate through. Now, let's get into what the Mini LED and QLED combination actually brings to your daily viewing. The Mini LED backlight is essentially an array of thousands of tiny LEDs, which allows the TV to dim or brighten sections of the screen with much more precision than a traditional edge-lit LED. In practice, that means deeper blacks during a nighttime thriller and brighter highlights in a sunny sports broadcast. I tested this while streaming a high dynamic range, HDR, nature documentary and a fast-paced FIFA game on a PlayStation 5. The documentary showed vibrant, almost neon-like foliage that didn't bleed into the sky, while the game maintained smooth contrast without any noticeable blooming around bright objects. For a room that gets a lot of daylight, the extra brightness, close to 1400 nits peak in the spec sheet, kept the picture punchy even with the curtains open. Color accuracy is another claim Sony leans on with billions of real-world QLED colors. As someone who isn't a professional colorist, my rough test was to compare a 4K Blu-ray movie that's known for its faithful palette The Grand Budapest Hotel against the same title streamed via a standard 1080p source. The QLED panel reproduced the pastel blues and pinks with a pop that felt more lifelike, and the skin tones didn't look overly pink or washed out. This suggests the TV's internal calibration, which Sony describes as studio calibrated, does a decent job out of the box. You won't need to dive into the picture mode menu to get a respectable picture. The default standard setting is already balanced for most lighting conditions. What about the practical weaknesses? The biggest hidden trade-off is the input lag. Sony advertises the TV as perfect for PlayStation 5, and indeed the console's game mode dropped the lag to around 20 milliseconds, which is acceptable for most gamers. However, if you're a competitive player who relies on sub-15 ms response times, you may notice a slight delay compared to a dedicated gaming monitor. Another drawback is the motion handling on fast action content. The TV uses Sony's X-Motion Clarity processing, which attempts to smooth frames, but in very fast scenes like a racing game some ghosting persisted. For a casual gamer or a movie night crowd, it's not a deal-breaker, but the tech-savvy gamer might want to toggle the motion enhancement off and accept a bit of blur instead. Speaker quality often goes unsaid on paper, but it matters when you're not planning to plug in a soundbar right away. The built-in two-way system delivers clear dialogue, but bass is thin, especially in explosions or big musical crescendos. If your living room is already set up with a home theater system, you'll likely route the audio through your receiver via HDMI ARC, and the internal speakers become irrelevant. If you rely solely on the TV's audio, budget a separate soundbar, because the picture is where the BRAVIA truly shines. Who should buy this TV? If you have a large open-plan space, think a family room that stretches over 15